Hello everyone, I am Kartik Kamdar and a warm welcome to all of you to our channel Experience Candles. If you are following this channel, then you would be aware about the CandEx series, that is Candid Exchange of Experience, where we invite experts from industry and academia to share their experiences and learning, which can help you in your professional and personal lives. Today, we have a very distinguished guest from academia, and let me briefly introduce him. Even his brief introduction will also take some time. It's an absolute honor for me to introduce him. He is a professor at Sardar Patel University MBA department. We call it as SPU MBA, Vallabh Vidyanagar, Gujarat, where I also did my MBA. He is having experience of 20 plus years at postgraduate level. He is a national trainer of Junior Chamber International. He is a certified trainer of National Skill Development Council, Government of India. He has attended FDB program from IIM Ahmedabad. He is an MBA gold medalist and UGC NET qualified individual, that is in the year December 2000. He has done 2 UGC and 3 Government of Gujarat research projects. He has published 5 books and 55 research papers. He has conducted more than 200 training sessions, and he has served as president in JCI Vallabh Vidyanagar 2015. He has also served as a president of Lions Club of Vittal Udyog Nagar in the year 2018-19 and district chairman vocational training. He is the founder chairman of Indian Society for Training and Development Anand, that is in the year 2017 to 2020. He is presently president of Sardar Patel University Teachers Association. He has guided 15 PhD students and 17 MPhil students, and 7 are presently pursuing PhD in his guidance. He is a Senate member of Sardar Patel University. He is a winner of Outstanding National Trainer Award of JCI Zone 8 in the year 2019. He is an outstanding member of ISTD in the year 2020. He is a winner of Sardar Patel Research Award and Dadabhai Nauroji Research Paper Award of Sardar Patel University last year. So this was a brief introduction of, I haven't yet named him. He is none other than Dr. Raju Rathod. I heartily welcome him on our show Experience Candles. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Kartik bhai. Thank you.
Yeah, it is indeed an honor for me to invite you and also introduce you, because you are having such a wonderful experience over a period of 20 plus years. So before we start our session, in terms of, I have some couple of questions. If you could please share your initial thoughts about you and what you are going to share.
Yeah. First of all, a very warm welcome to this very innovative initiative by Mr. Kartik Kamdar and the Uday bhai. Mr. Uday is also our alumni. And when I heard their idea, I was also very exciting. So finally, I'm happy today it is possible. So CandEx itself is a very, very, innovative initiative taken by these two person as well as their team. And in terms of legacy, one of the most important thing is how we can pass from one generation to other generation. And experience is not labeled by say Raju Rathod or Kartik or somebody, right? Experience, I think name is not important, but what insights and takeaway we can take from somebody's life, that I think makes the experience more essential. So I am very happy I am part of this initiative today, not personally, but my experience is a part of it. And believe me, experience is not the monopoly of the person who got it, but experience is actually, the actually the collaboration of all the people who actually made a role in making somebody's life successful. So Kartik bhai is also today joined in my experience as making my life meaningful and successful. So once again, welcome to all of you on behalf of this team in this particular program. And thank you for inviting me.
Thanks a lot, sir. I think a small piece of information. We also have a third member, Deep Shah. He's
Yeah.
also part of Experience Kendall, so I just thought of sharing this with you. So I have a couple of questions, I think, which will definitely help the viewers. And once you answer those questions, share your insights. So I'll start with a very interesting question, and I think it is very relevant for many of us. So, sir, how would you define the process of learning?
Yeah, the process of learning. Yeah, actually, see, when I was studying in the school, and then I did my BBA from Rajkot. Now, at that point of time, there was no destination of a learning. Like at that point of time, even the career counseling and those things were not very popular. So, we have been told that you learn your best, and that's why your destiny will be decided. So the learning, like in a school we have a different meaning. Learning, as learning is exam oriented. Like you learn whatever is in the syllabus, and then questions will be asked. And at that point of time also, unconsciously, we know that this theoretical knowledge is not important, but the practical knowledge is important. So even when we were doing our BBA, there were some friends, they were doing job also. Actually, we also had an experience, but then at that point of time, the commercial and management related experience we didn't have. And that's why people scared us also, that when you don't have experience, then what will happen. So we also want to learn practical things at that point of time. So for us, the theoretical things and practical things at that point of time was different. And then I did my MBA. So during that time, we had been given some practical knowledge also, or the orientation also, that what is the practical knowledge. And then finally, when I joined the job as a professor, I realized that learning is something not a matter of a discussion, right? Learning is something which help you to solve the various problems of a life. And learning become learning only when it is useful to somebody, and useful to you to sometime answers some of the very difficult questions asked by the life also. So learning is not confined to giving the answers of only the professional problems and the work life problems, right? But the learning is also very important sometimes to solve some family problem also, some personal problems also. Suddenly some sad thing happen in your life, and then how your entire formal learning may not helpful to you. So learning, people used to say that somebody must be lifelong learner and all such things, but I said, do we have a choice? Right? Like Darwin says, survival of fittest. So here there is a survival of learner only. So but then learning, just you learned, that is not important, but then at a particular situation, how you apply your learning, that is also important. And by applying your learning at that particular point of time, and then how you learn from that experience also. So as Alvin Toffler says, illiterate of 21st centuries are not those who cannot read and write, but illiterate of 21st centuries are those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So I think learning new things and unlearning the old things, and again, finding your new version is, I think, a learning every day.
I think, sir, you beautifully elaborated that if we cannot solve a real life experience, then a learning has no use, right? So
Yeah.
we beautifully explained, sir. But sir, in addition to this, the other question which comes to my mind is that why should one keep learning? Because see, you also touched upon this topic that okay, everybody should be a lifelong learner, right? And either we don't have any choice as well if you want to be in the market. But why should one keep learning? Any thoughts around this, sir?
Learning, we can take the two perspective of a learning. One perspective is, as you said, rat race, and then people scare also that if you don't learn, and then you will be outdated and obsolete, and you will be kicked out from the competition. And so that perspective is fully a competitive perspective. But another perspective, as Einstein used to say, that the intellectual pleasure, there is a pleasure in a learning, right, which is long lasting, like which never lasts. And there is no aim of learning, when you actually have a pleasure in a learning, right? So I think I think that is important. Like when you ask many people like Sachin Tendulkar, so Sachin Tendulkar, he learned to new things in a cricket. Even today now he is not in a competitive career, right? Not chasing in a competitive career, but then still he learned, right? And he loved to watch the matches of the present players also, right? And that's why here the learning is not for a competition. Learning is like a basic food, for the intellectual need, right? So that's why let us not confine the learning for a very myopic view, like if you learn every day, then only you survive and everything. But learning itself must be, the source of enjoyment and source of fulfillment, that okay, I am living, right? That's why Socrates also used to say, I am because I am thinking, and I am thinking, so I am. So I think I am because I am learning, and I am learning, so I am. Otherwise, there is no difference between a live person and dead person.
True, true. So I think you have also touched upon this, that okay, we may not be, I would say we may not be in that competitive race, but still,
Yeah.
if somebody keeps on learning, then obviously it helps him or her in fulfilling his or her desires or intellectual desire, right? So that is very true, sir. But at the same time, I wanted to understand that learning definitely helps, but if any learning, if it bothers you, if it has a stress element, then obviously it may not be a learning. I think that's what I understood from your points, I would say.
Yeah, so one learning happen automatically, and one learning is by compulsion, like by choice or by chance, and by desire and default. So some learning by default happen. Even in a training field, when we say what is the IO, matlab instructional objective of any kind of a training. So training is a process of molding, somebody's behavior. So when you try to mold and shape up the desired behavior from somebody, then at that point of time we are talking about a terminal change in the behavior of somebody. So how you can bring the terminal change in somebody's behavior, and that happen through learning, but not compulsory learning, right?
Okay.
But by the learning which you consciously you do, and sometimes, even you have some experience, and then there is a u-turn in your pattern of learning also, right? And that's why, we must be very open to any kind of learning through experiences, as well as the experiences of others also, we can observe and then we learn.
True.
So I think let us not take learning as a burden, but as a steps to climb the next milestone in a life, and then we celebrate learning, right, instead of bothering about the learning, which is what the present generation should also learn. Like if we have heard the stories of many successful people, and they used to say, then when we were struggling, actually we never thought that it is struggle, right? So if learning is burden for me, then I think though you learn, but then it is not worth.
True. So I think, sir, the other question which comes to my mind, and I think that is definitely I can tie it back to the introduction which I shared about you, because you have such a wonderful experience and illustrious experience. So the question is, sir, from whom have you learned the most, and what are those learnings? It could be life lessons, or it could be your professional life. So if you can share some insights.
Yeah, so far as the formal learning is concerned, I have learned maximum things, which actually I actually remembered, and I could consciously remember that this is what I learned, and which made my life, or whatever I achieved and reached today, is because of that. So the maximum thing I learned from my one professor at our MBA department, and he is Dr. Hemansi Trivedi. So in fact, I consciously learn maximum thing from him, and that learning is a formal learning, because he was our professor. Every day we used to meet at a very mature age, because sometimes what happened during the school, if you learn something from some teacher, then it is related to subject only, not about the life and all, right? But at this matured age, when you join MBA at the age of 19 and 20, where maximum thing you can relate, because immediately after your MBA, you are going to use that. So Professor H.C. Trivedi, he was a role model for many of us students studying at that point of time, and many things we learned from him regarding the presentation, regarding the perspective of a life, regarding reasoning of explaining so many things about a life, regarding counseling also, like the way we went to him and asked the questions, right? So I learned formally many things from him. And the second most very important person from whom I learn, not through communication but by observation and looking him as an example, is my father.
Okay.
Because my father was a employee in a Gujarat Maritime Board, and he was a union leader for more than 29 years. So even when I was sitting, and I am sitting today even with my father, then actually there is less amount of communication. But if even we sit silently, then also I learn from so many things. And my father is a very good storyteller also. So he used to share a lot of slices of his life about his experience in very very complicated situations also. So naturally I learned maximum thing from my father as well as from my mother also. Now my mother was not that much highly qualified and educated person formally, but then she uh, teach the lesson only in some complicated part of a life. So when you give up from everywhere, and then when you don't find any solution for some problem, and at that point of time, my mother used to tell only one or two sentences, right? And then that give a solution. And today she is not with us, but then still today, her references and those insights in a difficult midst of a life is still very very important for us and guiding us, right? So these are the three people: my professor, uh, father, right, as my role model, and my mother as a savior in the crisis, right?
Yeah.
Is source of learning for me.
But yeah, sir, I think what you touched upon is like experiential learnings definitely help a lot, right? So obviously formal education has its advantages, but experiential learnings can have significant impact in anyone's lives. And I think that is also one of our objectives of experience candles, where we keep sharing our experiences, and that definitely helps others to learn, and we also learn from others' experiences. So that's a wonderful narration, sir. But sir, another, I think you have briefly touched upon certain content on my next question, because see, there are so many things to be learned in life, right? So if we just see around, then there are so many things. So sir, what do you think? Can everything be learned or not? Or should everyone learn everything or not? And second, how would you associate leading with learning? So you touched upon this topic, but I want if you can share some more insights around this.
Now, so far as learning is concerned, learning is a part of like knowledge gathering and knowledge management also. Now, knowledge management itself is an oxymoron, right? How can you manage a knowledge, right? Because knowledge is eternal, knowledge is unlimited, right? So you rightly said that, is it important to learn everything, right? And is it possible to learn everything? So these are the two most appropriate questions. So I understood this limitation, constraint, or say parameter of a learning at very early age of my life, and particularly in India, many young aspirants who joined a job could not understand this thing at their early career, that how to take your profession very seriously, and what is your role in your profession, right? And what is your professional goal, in which what kind of a role you are presenting, fulfilling, and to enrich your profession, and to climb in your profession, what kind of a learning is most important. So when I become a professor at my very young age, and in the university level, in the postgraduate department, at the age of just 23, many, even my students were also not believed
That's
that
amazing.
when I went to the class, they were not able to believe that I am a professor, right? So at that point of time, I understood one thing very well, that if I am teaching management and management related topic, then management is not something is a subject of teaching, but it is a subject of practice. So I must practice management. Say if I am teaching leadership, then unless I didn't have experience of being a leader in some formal organization, how can I teach leadership? That's why I joined JCI, then Lions. I become chairman in ISTD also. And during my tenure, it was outstanding chapter also, right? And recently, just before 1.5 years, I become a president of our teachers and union also, where there are 170 plus teachers, right? So though it is not a corporate experience, but at least it substitute me and allowed me to learn practical things within my constraint of a government job, right? So and then by way of training as a profession, I gave my 10 years to become a national trainer in JCI, and the benefit of becoming a trainer and then establish myself as a trainer, I get lot of corporate assignments also. I used to meet many corporate trainers also, so I got that exposure also from that my experiences. So yes, it is not important to learn everything. You have to decide your circle of influence and circle of control, right? And circle of concern also, because if your circle of concern is very large and your circle of influence is very short, then there is no way of learning. And reading is, yes, definitely, because if even you know the rule, that is a rule called read, reflect, and read, reflect, and experiment, right? That is a rule. We call it a 6 hours rule. Like all CEOs, they asked that what is the secret of your success, and then they said 6 hours we must read any genre, like novel, anything you read for 6 hours in a week, and then you reflect on that. Reading doesn't mean like you read, but you read in between the line, and then you reflect also. You relate with your life problems, your role in a particular workplace, and then you note down that okay, what exactly you learn by reading, and then you experiment by getting ideas from reading. So one reading is for say refreshment and to just to be cool, and one is a conscious learning when it make us empowered us in our professional role also. So definitely there is no substitute of learning through reading. True. Because reading open up all the way a new door of opportunities of learning.
Yes, sir. So you have touched upon beautifully in terms of the leadership, kind of like walk the talk, right? So if you are not practicing what you are learning, then obviously it has less or no importance at all. So I have another question in terms of because see, there are many professionals who might be facing the mid-career crisis after a certain period in a professional life. He or she might not be able to reach to the next level. So how would you associate learning with mid-career crisis, and what are some of the tips the professional should follow in terms of growing in their career?
Yeah, I also used to thought a lot about this mid-career crisis also, and making yourself relevant in all age and phase of your life. And I could found some of the solution in terms of when we were doing our MBA, we learned about one of the very important concept called a core competence. So what is your core competence? So what is the central source of your competence as a person? So the core competence remains same. Only their application will change in a different challenges of a life. Say Amitabh Bachchan. So Amitabh Bachchan, the core competence is acting, right? So now earlier he used to do a different kind of movies. Now he is doing different kind of movies. And he jumped into business also, but we know that he could not get a success, right? But again he come and stick to his core competence.
True.
And applying his core competence for say Kaun Banega Crorepati, right? Now in Kaun Banega Crorepati also actually it is acting and talking with the people and leveraging and capitalizing his popularity as a superstar, right? So that's how the core competence remains same. Like even when you are in a school, your core competence is a core competence. And core competence is somewhat a gift of God also, right? But we have to discover. Very few people could discover his or her core competence, right? And consciously, discovering the core competence at a different point of time. So you identify your core competence, and then the only learning is required that is how you make your core competence relevant in a different stage of your life, and a changing phase of your surrounding environment. So the environment changed, but the core competence remains same, right? I was watching the movie Rambo, and then Rambo was sent to be one mission, and then they give all the new weapon. Then he said, I don't believe in a new weapon, right? I'm comfortable with my all conventional weapon. So but he was confident that, I could do with my old weapon, right? And that confidence and competence is important. Learning and their tools may change, but your core competence remains same.
Sir, so when we discuss about core competence and also adjusting to or learning new things which can keep us alive in this market, there is also a certain level of debate which is going on, or which is a very uh, talked about topic as well, that specialist versus generalist, right? So what are your views on whether somebody should become specialist or generalist or something else?
Yeah, like one should not be very rigid. There are two things. One is a stability and agility. So if you stable to a one domain only, or a one area only, then sometimes you may suffer. And that was the best experience we got during the corona, right? During the pandemic. So at that point of time, if whether you are a generalist or whether you are a specialist, then we could find out, right? Like to save ourselves from a corona, we have to be specialists. Specialists in terms of how to follow SOPs of a corona. And though I am a generalist, right, I want to move everywhere and do everything, but then I cannot, right? Because I have to learn that how to confine myself to a particular
really an amazing
SOP
example.
only.
Yes.
Yeah. So let us not be rigid, right? Let us not be rigid to generalist and specialist. But yeah, learning happen only when you are a generalist. Say, for example, today I cannot learn many things from my father because my father is my role model. But then today, something I cannot learn, some aspect of my life in this century may not learn. So I learn from my daughter. So recently, my daughter introduced me to the new MTV Hustle 2.0, series. And when we used to watch the Hustle 2, right, you learn so many things. Like people are crazy about the hip hop and how their lyrics they write and what kind of passion they require. And then we sometimes find like we are doing nothing, right? We are doing nothing. So to learn, you have to be generalist.
Yeah,
But when you do some job, then you stick to it, right? Like you focus on that.
yeah. So I think what you are suggesting is that everybody should be open to learn and change. I think that is very
Yeah,
key. That's a key message I would take from your narration.
yeah.
I think coming back to students, because I think you have been teaching students for so long. So what are some of your tips for them which can help them to learn effectively during their formal education? Because studying in an institute is one thing, right? But also consuming that learning and applying it in the real life scenario, that is also very important. So what are some of your tips which you would share with the students community?
Yeah, like one of the very important thing nowadays in a career development, also in that domain of a study, one of the greatest problem with the Indian philosophy about career development is, right from the beginning we ask a wrong question, that what you want to become. Even in a school also, the first question is what you want to become. And then we go out of our home and meet the teacher first, right? And that's why probably the first answer would be, I want to be a teacher. And then typically in India we have only two options: to be engineer and doctor, right? These are the two lucrative, the career choice in typical Indian families. And that's why learning confined to that only. But nowadays in a developed countries also, this they say this question need to be changed. Don't ask the student that what you want to become in life, but then ask what you can contribute. Right? What you can contribute, what change you can made in your surrounding, right? That is more important. And that's why in a project-based learning or experiential learning, that questions become more imperative. That which is an area of interest which drag your energy. Recently, I was reading the interview of a Kumar Mangalam Birla, right? And he was telling in a convocation of IIM Ahmedabad that you go wherever your energy drag you, right? And when your energy inspire you to go, so you see that you observe your surroundings and then see that which problems or which opportunity attract you, and you can contribute something, right? So your contribution and your change, right, will help the society and you also to develop your career. So while doing your graduation, post-graduation or a school, also try to relate your knowledge with the life, with the practical problems of your surroundings. Only that, problem solving and decision making, I think these are the two most important things which you should think while you are studying, right? And to solve the problem and to take a right decision at a right time, nowadays you have to be a critical thinker as well as the creative thinker. So critical thinking, creative thinking, problem solving skill, and decision making skill, I think these are the four things one should sharpen while going through a formal education.
I think that's a very good, I would say this is what you are sharing is amazing for the students community and also for the professionals as well, I think. So thanks a lot for sharing that. And I don't know, yes, we are like almost there at the end of our session, but I want to continue with this discussion for long, but unfortunately we'll not be able to take it forward for so long. But obviously we'll try and make it another session where we can have more insights from you. But before we end our session, I would like to request you if you can share some of the books or videos or podcasts or anything that our viewers can go through and learn something else or learn something more.
Yeah, now so far as the books are concerned, like you can see on my background that when I bought a house, I made a point that I will create my library. So I personally bought so many books, and some of the books, like I like to read the biography. Like if you read the biography of Dr. Verghese Kurian, right?
Yeah.
I had a dream true, right? And then when you read that book, you learn so many things, right? I had a book, the biography of a Baikaka who created a Vallabh Vidyanagar. And because of Baikaka, we are here in Vidyanagar. Because if Baikaka would have not been there, Vidyanagar would not develop, right? So when I read the biography of Baikaka na Smasmarano, and then you learn so many things. So I personally like to read the biography of a people, the life stories of a people, and then some of the life lessons and motivation books also nowadays, right? Like there is a book called Art of Thinking Clearly, where they are talking about how to avoid the cognitive errors, right, or a logical fallacy in your thought process. So it's such kind of a skill oriented book also I like. Apart from that, I used to watch the YouTube videos of Raju Rathod also, right?
Okay.
And such kind of videos also, which actually talking rational things and without bringing subjectivity, and then introducing the topic very well. So there are many such kind of YouTubers are also nowadays. The Josh Talk also, where one of the most difficult exam, civil service exam. So you find the interviews of these people. Apart from that, I used to watch the web series also, some of the web series like Cubicles and Aspirants and all those Panchayat, all those web series from a TVF, right? And these are the web series from some of the topmost intelligent mind, right? IITians and all. So that also nowadays, I think, apart from books and everything, the source of a great learning for teachers, right? Particularly, and TED Talk, like how we can forget even TED Talk, right? So all this as a videos become very, very important. And I like to read the books of a vernacular language also. Like recently, the book which I am right now reading and in the verge of completion is a Tattvamasi. So Tatvamasi on basis by Dhruv Bhatt, right, on basis of which the Reva movie was made. And then suddenly one day I thought to read that book, right, and then I go to market and bought the book, and when I was reading again, I have seen the movie Reva, and then I try to find out that what is the difference between movie and the Tatvamasi, and then it gives a great treasure of a knowledge by learning from molecular books also.
True, true, true. I think, sir, whatever you listed for our viewers, it's a very good list in terms of variety and also depth and breadth. I think that's really nice of you. So, sir, it was amazing discussing with you and getting your insights. I'm sure our viewers would have also got some more insights from you, and we are very thankful for accepting our invitation to have this session. It was really amazing, and thanks a lot for your time. And we would like to schedule some other session where we can get more insight. Thanks a lot, sir.
Yeah, so thank you to Mr. Deep and Kartik Bhai also, and Uday Bhai also. And thank you. And I wish that your this idea become very successful, and you can scale up as well as scale up such kind of ideas, which is the need of the hour today's, right? Youngsters like you are very busy in profession, but from your profession also you are taking a time and starting such kind of a startup, which is very important nowadays. It's like a torchlight, for the younger generation. So thank you for being with you, and asking me this many passionate question, and giving me opportunity to express myself. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Raju sir. Thank you. Namaste.